Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
Back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. Sam Bushman, hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use starts now. This, my fellow Americans, is the broadcast for April the 17th in the year of our Lord 2025. It's an incredible Easter coming up weekend. Good Friday is tomorrow. We should be releasing all political prisoners ASAP, ladies and gentlemen. Promoting God, family, country, protecting life, liberty, and property. That's who we are. That's what we do on your radio. Welcome to the broadcast. Wow. It's hard to even know where to start with the stuff we've got going on today. It's just crazy town. First off, we've got our dear friend with us, Steve Stockman, former congressman from Texas. Twice he's served in Congress. Now, by the grace of God, he's free. Thank heavens for that. Hashtag Steve Works For You is where you can find him all over the web and everything else. And we've got a big, serious issue to discuss. There's an emergency. Steve, welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on, Sam.
All right. I have known about this issue for a long time. We've been doing our very best to help on the political prisoner front for quite some time. I went and protested when they tried to put the Hammonds in prison, and we eventually got them out. Thank heavens for that. But, man, we've got you out of prison. We've got, a lot of the J6ers out of prison. We've made a lot of progress, and I don't mean to minimize that in any way. That's significant. We're grateful for it. We need to push harder for more pardons. We need to back off some of these clown judges that need to really be impeached and prosecuted to the full extent of the law for their activism on the bench. That's a whole nother topic, but I digress, except I want to say this. I don't want to minimize anybody else's situation because there's so many that we really need a private organization, kind of like Doge, but for the release of political prisoners, to do the case work, to get, things in front of Trump. And, hey, we could start releasing prisoners on Good Friday and let people have their lives back. We also need to really look at this felony situation. When people are felons, hey, they can't have a gun. They don't have their normal rights. They can't vote. Is Trump a felon? Can he have a gun? This is a tragic situation. You got a Steve Stockman. Can he have a gun? Well, that's really the problem here is people don't get their lives back. And in America, we believe in Christ and we believe in repentance and we believe in change. And we believe that, you can be made whole. That's America, ladies and gentlemen. And this idea that you can never get your life back, you're a second-class citizen forever, is not only immoral, it's flat out unconstitutional. But, Steve, there's a gentleman who's a stand-up guy. He's a patriot. He's one of the first people to really promote and support Trump back in the day. And, man, they've handed his head to him. He's really the biggest political prisoner that I know of at this time.
Yeah, it's horrible. And I want to first address something you spoke to about being Friday coming up and Good Friday. We hope that your listeners pick up on this and let President Trump tweet it out. So post on Facebook. But on Friday, Christ, the last thing he did before he departed and before his resurrection is he forgave the criminal on the cross. And so we want to call it Forgiveness Friday, and we're hoping every Friday Trump pardons somebody that's a political prisoner. And there's a lot more out there, victims of Jack Smith, and one of the ones that we're going to discuss today is a horrible victim of Jack Smith. The FBI agent admitted he destroyed evidence to convict him, and yet he's still in prison. And by the way, the FBI agent only got probation. He committed a felony, and it's just outrageous that what's called Brady material was destroyed, and he's still in prison. It's horrible. And now he had to take the 7 vaccines. They pretty much forced him to take the vaccines while he's in prison. And then he's only 47 years old, and he got AFib. And then the AFib, I think, ripped his valve because they wouldn't treat the AFib. They told him to drink more water. That was the medical advice given to him. And then his valve broke or ripped. They did surgery on his heart. They screwed up the surgery on his heart, and they had to ship him back into the operating room and do another 4 hours. and his heart at the time when he came out was beating only 30 beats per minute. And he needs a pardon. It's outrageous. By the way, the family is not allowed to visit him, and they don't even know where he's at, where the surgery is being performed. This is such an outrage. And this guy's a patriot. He's a Christian. He got money for a Christian school. Some of the Christians, I understand, gave donations, and they said, "Oh, that's bribery." That happens every time in Congress, every day. Someone does a favor for them and they make a political donation. That is not bribery. That's appreciation. And that's been going on since the millennial, And this is just an outrage. His name is John Woods, Senator John Woods. He's in Bastrop. If you have a chance, write him a letter. Tell him you support him. He can't get it right now because he's in ICU in the hospital. Apparently he talked to his brother, but they don't know where he is. And now we need more than ever for prayer and to people contact and post on Trump's Truth Social to get John out. There's a great article, which I hope you reference for your listeners to read. But I really appreciate you, Sam, for highlighting this. It's really a horrible, horrible tragedy.
Now, let's help people understand this. And John Wood is from Arkansas, right?
Yeah, he was a state senator. First senator to endorse Trump. But remember, it was Hillary versus Trump at that time. And Hillary has a lot of connections in Arkansas, and she was totally upset that somebody of his influence, a state senator, would come out and endorse Trump. And so they sicked Jack Smith on him, as they did me. And Jack Smith, your listeners should be aware of, was the one that went after Trump and bent every rule, lied, corrupt, raided Trump's house, which is unprecedented what he did. He broke all the rules, all the constitutional norms, and yet he's still walking free. And people like John, who are totally innocent, an FBI with corrupt FBI agent, destroyed evidence that would have showed exonerated him and lied about it. And the judge never held him accountable for lying about it. First he said he didn't destroy it. But then they showed receipts and had a testimony of a guy at the Geek Squad or one of those type.
In other words,
services.
he lied and got caught, right?
Yes. And the thing that's amazing is that the judge, he told the judge the reason you shouldn't sentence me because so many other FBI agents are corrupt and didn't get a lot of time. It's just unbelievable. If I was writing a script, Sam, and I came in with the script and described this, you said, "Steve, that could never happen in America. You couldn't do this movie." But unfortunately, it's not a script. It actually happened. And what happened to me is horrible too. But my heart goes out to John and everything that's happened to him. It's just unbelievable. And I know you have a lot of listeners, and I really wish they would get activated posting on the internet about John's case. And you can look up his article, which I think is at Gateway Pundit.
Yeah,
and
gatewaypundit.com. It's basically the assistant editor there. And we really need to understand, folks, this issue. If it can happen to a state senator, it can happen to you and me. That's kind of the problem that I see here. And I really appreciate what Donald Trump's done to release a lot of the prisoners. I think that's great, but we need more. And do we know, is Donald Trump completely aware of this situation?
No, I don't believe he is. That's why I need your listeners to participate on Truth Social and post on Donald Trump's site, the article, and ask him to read it. It's horrible.
His family's real Donald Trump, right?
Right, and his family, John Wood's family, is not allowed to see him, and he's had 2 open heart surgeries, and this is actually, I think, violates the 8th Amendment, cruel and unusual punishment. So it angers me. And he's supposed to only get 1 phone call a month when he's in the hospital. Fortunately, there are some people that apparently out of control, but at least kind enough to let him have 1 or 2 phone calls instead of just 1 a month. So it's
hard.
alarming.
It's hard to understand this whole thing, though, because this guy's been railroaded, and virtually there's been no news about it this whole time. It's been going on for literally over a decade now, right?
Yeah. Well, we've both been railroaded. There's little news on me either. the press is, they're not only liberal, but a lot of times it's what they don't tell you. In fact, you always hear, this guy from Maryland. He's a Maryland man. No, he's not. He's been twice before courts and been found guilty. So what the Democrat Party is let the guilty go and let the innocent serve time. And I have to tell you, thank God Trump won, because if Harris was in office, all Christians, pastors would be in jail.
All right, hang tight, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a whole lot to talk about when it comes to this case because, man, the details are chilling. It all goes back to COVID in a way. It goes back to supporting Trump. It goes back to Hillary Clinton. I mean, I don't even know where to start. Hang tight. Steve Stockman with me. You're listening to Liberty Roundtable Live.
Cybercrime is exploding. Take Sarah from Sweet Delights, whose world crumbled after having to close with not being able to bounce back. Small businesses are prime targets, but the right strategies can keep yours safe. Jay Hill, CEO of Network Providers, has co-authored The Cyber Playbook Simplifies Cybersecurity for Business Owners with Strategies to avoid costly breaches and fines. Build a strong cyber attack response. Secure your business with key protections. Cyber threats aren't slowing down, but you can stay ahead. Protect your business. Ensure its security for tomorrow. Get the Cyber Playbook today at networkprovidersinc.com/cyber-playbook or call 385-446-5500 now.
Do you treasure your liberty? Well, at lovingliberty.net, we most certainly do. And we want to help protect your liberty too. Become part of the family. Everyone knows that the core of any society is the family. Therefore, the government should foster and protect the integrity of its family, we the people. Won't you join us as a Loving Liberty sponsor to help us promote the principles in the 5,000-year leap? Let's restore the miracle that changed the world at lovingliberty.net.
As you are aware, America is divided over every fault line possible. This is intentionally fostered by those who do not love God, family, or country. We believe a peaceful future as a free people absolutely depends on civility. Clarion Call for Civility is looking for funding and volunteers at every level to make our hopes and efforts a reality. Please donate, sign our pledge, and help us in our sacred cause. Please visit callforcivility.com for more details. Callforcivility.com.
Back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. Yours truly and Steve Stockman, former congressman on your radio. We're so grateful Steve's free. Hashtag Steve Works For You or at Steve Works For You is how you can keep up with what he's doing on social and everywhere else. We really need people to understand this. Go to thegatewaypundit.com. Get this story. Family and friends of Arkansas Senator John Woods are begging President Trump for a pardon. I'm one of those asking Trump, please get this done. He's fighting for his life, ladies and gentlemen, after botched prison heart surgery. Just imagine being in prison and going to heart surgery. Thegatewaypundit.com is where you can find it. And I guess what happened is this guy basically stood up for Trump in Arkansas back in 2015, really, right? 2016. And basically he got thrown in jail. Now, it's all wrong that he's there, but it's been going on. There's been no news covering it. Then COVID hit. It almost killed Steve Stockman, but he got released, thank heavens. But John Woods never got released, and they forced him. And this is, in my opinion, I mean, there's all kinds of criminal activity going on in this. This is one of the biggest criminal acts, though. They forced him to take the vaccines, right?
The way I understood it, yeah, is that he was totally going to take it. And he told me, he didn't tell me, he told my wife, that he had, I think, 7 vaccines, which is horrendous. And then, by the way, both of us, while in prison, got AFib. And I think it's either from the COVID itself or from the vaccines, because you see a rash. In fact, you hear a lot of articles. Dr. Malone talks about this. It causes inflammation of the heart, and then that destroys your electrical in your heart, and that's where you get to atrial fibrillation, where your heart quivers instead of pumping. John's heart went that way for apparently for several days before they would even address it. but you're supposed to go immediately in the high. When it hits 150, you need what's called a cardioversion. I don't want to get too many medical terms for your audience, but cardioversion, and it literally they shock you. And
they shock the heart to try to get it back into rhythm again, right?
Yeah, I just had that 2 weeks ago. Yeah, my heart myself, I was still, even after 3 ablation surgeries, heart surgeries, I still have it. So it's not a great. I always thought it was a fake disease, but it's not. It's very real.
Oh no, it's very real. In fact, it's very real. It's very deadly. It's tied to the spike protein, whether you get it from the actual virus or whether you get it from the vaccine. The problem is the same. The problem is the vaccine compounds it. And so, did he have COVID too? Do you know?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, in fact, he had it twice, I believe.
Okay, so he got COVID and he took the vaccine. So the spike proteins are just through the roof, Steve.
By the way, the vaccines are supposed to, if you get a TB shot, you don't get TB. But, they keep calling it a vaccine. It's really not a vaccine because you get it even after you get the shot. In some cases, people got it right after they got the shot. So it's I don't know. I think it was really I can't make decisions for other people, but I think they need to investigate where, follow the money. There's some of these. We're getting off on a tangent, but it's.
Yeah. So
I want everybody
to
pray
happen?
for John Woods.
How does this happen for a John Woods, though? I mean, basically, nationally, people don't know about it. Locally, people can't find out where he is and can't do anything about it. How does all this happen in this prison system, though? I mean, is it just corruption? Is it? Do they have laws that allow them to do this? I mean, how come we can't somehow call a halt to this con game?
Well, the thing that's a mistake is having the Bureau of Prisons underneath the command of the people who convicted you. Because if it's a political conviction like myself and John, they can continue to harass you and continue to keep you in prison, even though you shouldn't be in prison. I mean, John shouldn't be in prison in the first place. But the fact is that you have people that are very corrupt. In my case, is Robert Eberle, who thankfully Trump fired. God bless Trump for this. Fired him February 13th, and he was my nemesis. He filed SAM paperwork against me just right before the election. He was still harassing me, and he's harassed me literally for 10 years. They don't let go. And if you look at all the other political cases, they're trying to re-indict a lot of J6ers and stuff. Pam's got her hand full, Bondi, the new attorney general, because we don't have a lot of conservative lawyers, and she needs to fire a lot of those lawyers and hire new lawyers. But you can't fire someone unless unless you can replace them. And unfortunately, I wish homeschoolers would start going into criminal law and becoming lawyers, because we need more conservative lawyers. But you go through law school, they're so corrupt and really don't teach law the way they used to.
Well, the problem is the bar that you have to swear to, though, undermines your whole ability to stand up for conservatives, too, right?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of problems, but the fact is that I speak to homeschoolers at time and to others in Christian schools, and we need more people that are philosophically abide by the Constitution in government. We have so many now, as you see this lower court, you have so many people that don't abide by the Constitution, judges who, frankly, I was shocked. Many of the judges are not even born here. You have judges that were not even born in the United States being federal judges. It's outrageous. We should mandate that all judges be born here in America. And you have a system now where
they got all kinds of illegal cops running around nowadays too.
Yeah, I know. In California, in fact, what's shocking is they actually allow illegal aliens to vote. I mean, it's really, the Democrats have so corrupted California. I mean, California used to be a very Republican state. That's where Ronald Reagan came from. Well, Ronald Reagan did something. He capitulated to the left and he said, this is the one time we're going to give, amnesty to all the illegal immigrants. And most of it at that time were in California. No, most of them were in California, and then in California not immediately, but you could see gradually turn into a Democrat state as more and more got voted. And I think that it's a mistake to kick out some of the Cubans, which he's doing, because they vote Republican. I mean, there's a lot of Democrats here illegally. They're going to vote Democrat. I wish he'd kick them out first, personally. But,
Yeah, the problem is then it becomes too partisan. And all right,
Yeah.
so let's talk about John Woods a little bit more, though. The same guys that attacked you, this is interesting. It's the same clowns over and over and over. The same ones that attacked you are the same ones that attacked Trump, are the same ones that attacked Woods, right?
Yeah, what it is, it's called the Public Integrity Section, which is very misnamed. It's and they hate the acronym, which is PIS. They don't like that, so they call it PIN, even though there's no letter in the acronym of N. But it's because they really are. What happened is Obama, along with Clinton and all that, set this organization up and put their people in there. And so, in fact, Jack Smith's wife, probably most people don't know this, made a movie with Michelle Obama. They're dear friends. The Jack Smith and Obamas are joined at the hip, along with Eric Holder. And so you have a cabal of miscreants who are really destroying and undermining the Constitution. And it's so funny they keep accusing Trump of retribution. It's not retribution. It's holding people that were doing retribution, political retribution, accountable for their crimes. It's a crime to use your office for political purposes to persecute your opponents, and that's there's more people in prison, by the way, Sam. I met a pastor who was preaching against Obama in the Public Integrity Section, sued him, and he got 3 years in prison. So there's more people in there. I met an African American who switched parties from Democrat to Republican, and they went after his whole family and put him and his wife and daughter in prison. It's because there's nothing worse than an African American getting off the reservation. He wised up and realized, it's good to be a conservative and a Christian. And he got persecuted unfairly. So I met some in prison. I was astounded. I thought I was one of the few. In fact, when I first went to prison, John is one of the first persons I met. And I heard about his case, and it really grieved me. And now here's John, 10 years later, still going through hell.
Well, this reminds me of the Criminal's Creed, though. And I just made this up, so tell me what you think here. I'm calling it the Criminal's Creed. And because when you get the deep state in charge, or the shadow government, or the Clintons, or the Obamas, or whoever these people, they're really above the law. But here's the Criminal's Creed. You ready?
Yep.
What you going to do about it?
Yeah, that's kind of true.
Yeah, you bring up all this stuff, Steve. What you going to do about it? See, they don't care. They're in your face now because they're above the law.
Yeah.
And until we can rein them in and create accountability and toss a few of these clowns in the clink, they're just going to run around and go, what you going to do about it?
Yeah, that's true. There's what I said, there's no accountability. When they mistreat John or mistreat me, or when they falsely imprison you, there's no punishment. In fact, if you go back through the history, there's a book out by our friend Sidney Powell called License to Lie. It documents how they lie. And then once they lie and convict somebody, even though it's illegal, they get promoted. They don't get punished, they get promoted. So we incentivize this type of thing. But it's a really great book called License to Lie. You'll be shocked when you read it. There's another one called 33 Felonies a Day, too, which documents how people can commit.
We all commit felonies, whether we even realize it or not, because there's so many belligerent laws on the books. We ought to go back to the good Lord's 10 Commandments and the 2 Great Commandments and leave it at that. But anyway, I digress. Steve Stockman's with me, ladies and gentlemen. Look, you got to go to the Gateway Pundit. You got to get this article. You got to understand about John Woods. You got to understand this former Arkansas state senator is absolutely being railroaded. His health has collapsed after receiving the COVID vaccines. We need to help him. The FBI agent admitted to destroying evidence. The question for Steve Stockman on the other side of the break: can Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Donald Trump, and others, can we get a handle on this thing? Or is it just going to get worse? Because I'm afraid once Donald leaves office, if they get, the clowns in there like Obama and Clinton crowd, it's going to be curtains for all of us. Hang tight. Steve Stockman in seconds.
Your daily Liberty News Wire. You're listening to Liberty News Radio.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Silence from White House reporters as Patty Morin detailed the murder of her daughter by an illegal alien. Rachel Morin, a Maryland mother of 5, was savagely attacked before she was killed. Patty Morin, at yesterday's White House press briefing, says she cannot understand how any lawmaker, including Democrat Chris Van Hollen, can stand up for the rights of illegal aliens over those of American citizens.
To have a senator from Maryland who didn't even acknowledge or barely acknowledge my daughter and the brutal death that she endured, leaving her 5 children without a mother and now a grandbaby without a grandmother, so that he can use my taxpayer money to fly to El Salvador to bring back someone that's not even an American citizen. Why does that person have more right than I do, or my daughter, or my grandchildren?
And she says it's not about politics, quoting Patty Morin, "I want to preserve life." In Russia, that country's Supreme Court lifting a ban on Afghanistan's Taliban. The Taliban was designated a terrorist group by Moscow more than 2 decades ago. President Trump has begun negotiating tariffs with America's trading partners. Yesterday it was Japan, today Italy's premier visiting the White House. And the president suggesting that Harvard may run the risk of losing its tax-exempt status. Puerto Rico hit by an island-wide power outage. Utility crews have been working to get the lights back on. Iran confirms the next round of nuclear talks with the U.S. will take place in Rome. On Wall Street, the Dow down 389 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Financing a home, especially in today's market, is one of the biggest decisions you'll make for your family. Work with a mortgage company that puts you first. I do. Work with a lender founded on biblical principles like do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. I do. It's Mike Gallagher for the only mortgage company I've used for almost a decade now when financing or refinancing Fellowship Home Loans. I'm friends with the owners, Mike and Brian. I even have them on my show occasionally. I know the care their team puts into every single customer. I can personally tell you that it's a smooth, stress-free process. And that's due to Fellowship's level of service and expertise that puts you in the right loan for your family and your goals. There's a reason Fellowship Home Loans is flooded with 5-star reviews. Whether purchasing a home or a cash-out refi to consolidate some higher interest debt, you can trust Fellowship Home Loans. Start the process. Make the call. 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
Bypass the mainstream narrative with Liberty News Radio at libertynewsradio.com. Engage with charismatic hosts live or on demand. We cover the crucial news focused on God, family, and country. News that other networks simply refuse to use. Think of LNR's hard-hitting news and podcasts at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Join us at libertynewsradio.com. Empower your day with the truth, because the truth will set you free. libertynewsradio.com.
Introducing Managed IT Services from NPI. We offer top-notch data backup and recovery, email spam protection, and network security tailored to your needs and budget. With 20-plus years of experience in the medical field, our HIPAA-certified consultants know what it takes to protect sensitive information. Don't settle for less. Give us a call at 801-706-6980 and experience the difference with Managed IT Services. Remember, your IT support should be fast, efficient, and reliable.
This April 19th, you're invited to a powerful celebration of American courage and independence. Join the Utah Society Sons of the American Revolution for a special event honoring the shot heard round the world, the moment that launched a revolution. Gather with us at the Utah State Capitol from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. for a morning of inspiration, remembrance, and patriotic pride. Experience a ceremonial wreath-laying, hear live readings and historic reflections, and witness a black powder musket salute that echoes the bravery of our forefathers. Whether you're a student of history, a proud patriot, or just looking for a meaningful way to honor the past, this event is for you. Admission is free and all are welcome. Come celebrate the spirit of 1775 and the birth of American freedom. Visit UtahSocietySAR.org for full details. Let freedom ring. April 19th at the Capitol.
Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
All right, former Congressman Steve Stockman with me, ladies and gentlemen. Steve works for you is the hashtag. You can see what he's doing on social and everything else. We're talking about John Woods. Yeah, we're talking about Good Friday tomorrow. The hope of pardon and release for political prisoners. Family and friends of John Woods are very concerned. I'm one of them. We're very concerned. He took the COVID vaccine by force, as far as we understand. Then he had heart surgery because it ruined his heart. Now his family doesn't know where he is. We don't even know if he's alive, do we, Steve?
Well, I know he's alive because we got an update from his brother, but he had to get it through the prison, and he is alive. But it's for a while there when the article was written, we didn't know if he was.
And then the prison people might lie, though, and we don't even know, right?
That's probably true.
And you can't trust these clowns. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just saying these people are dishonest. They don't obey the law. You can't trust them. They're flat out thugs.
No, but when you're going through such a traumatic surgery, you really need your family near there. It could be holding his hand. He has tubes all through him, and his chest's been opened twice within a few hours, and so he's in dire need of prayer and someone there just to hold his hand and be with him. It's really, for me, it's very upsetting what she's going through. It can
flat out make the difference of being able to make it through a surgery like that or not.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my point here, is that, you know what, I pray he's alive, and I think he is from what we've heard, and I pray so. But I don't trust these clowns as far as I can throw them. I mean, these guys are the ones that, hey, when George Hansen from Idaho back in the day took on the IRS, they literally put that guy in diesel therapy and ruined his whole life. And at the end, they wrote him a check and admitted he was right and they were wrong. But it was too late because they literally destroyed his health and killed him. And now they're doing the same thing to John Woods. We need to make sure that Trump knows about it. We need to create accountability for these things. Do you think that Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and Donald Trump, can really get this squared away? Because if they don't,
they could
wait till the pendulum swings till the Clinton crowd. Then what? Right?
Yeah. Well, no. If you get that last election, everybody mocked it because it said it's the most important election. It really was. Harris has a long tradition of persecuting Christians. She was the AG of California. And I don't know if you remember, but they had the undercover people documenting the Planned Parenthood selling parts. And she ended up taking the guys who exposed the crime to prison, tried to put them in prison, and then released all the donations so that the people would get harassed that donated to the organization. She's just horrible. And she has no moral compass. Plus, I don't know if she has any. There's not a real large walnut up there, you know. It's not somebody. I don't know how she got through law school, except for maybe.
Same way she got with Willie, and same way she got to become vice president. You know.
Yep. Yep.
So, do you think though that Kash Patel and Pam Bondi can really get to the bottom of this thing?
I think with Sam's army. Or we should probably call it Sam's soldiers. Tomorrow is going to be Good Friday. I can't think of a better thing when Jesus forgave the criminal on the cross. If we could have in that tradition forgive me too, I'd put my name on that list. But especially John needs to have a pardon right away, a full and complete pardon, so he can have his family there, sitting there holding his hand and. Watching over him, because it's horrible, and I think it would be an excellent idea. And you can post the article on both our friends Pam Bondi and Kash Patel's links too. So it's something you can do. It doesn't cost you any money, and it's something that if you can't do it, there's someone in your church or somebody else that can help you get it posted. But sitting quiet while your nation's burning is not something, especially something this easy. It's not. I'm not asking for any money. I'm not asking, only for prayers and action. And throughout the Bible, you saw Jesus always had action and prayer. It was never where the people sat around and did nothing. It's always God gave a command, and I think this is something where Christians can take action. Doesn't cost any money, and your guys were instrumental in praying for me and helping me get out. And I want to put Sam's shoulders in the forefront and the front lines and start acting so we can get this really hero who's been abused by the government to let him out of prison and start restoring his life and health. I don't know if we can ever do that, but it's something that we need to do, at least attempt to do.
Yeah, and I really want to kind of make this point. What I don't understand, Steve, is this. Guys like me and you, Steve King, James Edwards, many others, we can't seem to get a hold of Trump if our life depends on it. We know all kinds of people that meet with Trump all the time, but yet for some reason we can't get our information to Trump. But yet when, say, Morning Joe and Mika and these whacked out clown liberals want a meeting with Donald, it happens in about 5 seconds. What is happening?
I think what happens is people apparently, and I agree with you. In fact, I have very close contacts to Trump, and we pass the alert along, and it never seems to happen. Well, I think what happens is some of these people somehow got Trump's cell phone number, and he picks up, and then they talk to him, and he's like, sure. So can you, Sam, when you get Trump's cell number, can you give it to me?
Yes, I can. The problem is I can't get it. Mika's got it, and I can't get it. See, some of these clowns really did their very best to go against Donald and everything else, and then somehow they have his number.
They're back trashing him again. They've already been trashing him.
Then they're rolling to Mar-a-Lago and eating dinner with the president and this and that. And it's like, what on earth? I don't need to meet with President Trump.
Joe.
All I want to do is have him pardon my friends that deserve a pardon.
Yep. You know, I served with Joe in Congress, and he was very, very conservative back then. And the only thing that he was liberal on is in my district we make offshore or drilling rigs. And he was trying to keep barring people from drilling in Florida, which is the most idiotic thing, because in Texas we drill offshore and we make quite a bit of money for the state doing it. And
I'm like Vivek, burn, frack, drill, let's go.
Yep. I agree with you. Yeah. But it is frustrating. I agree with you. And even in the pardons, I mean, some of the people you pardon was, you know, Snoop Dogg's friend and some other people that were virulently anti-Trump and calling for, I think Snoop Dogg even at one point did a calling for his death and stuff. I don't understand it. His allies need to be pardoned first. And I'm glad he did J6. I think that was really great. And the whole, you know, everybody said, oh, if you do that, it's going to be, no, he did it. And the blowback was actually pretty minimal. But now they're trying to, you know, go after some of the ones that were pardoned, like Stone and some other Bannon. They're still going after. They need to drop all that stuff. I know we've only been they've only been in office less than 100 days, but they got to start cleaning the house and firing more people. But I'm very thankful he fired the guy that went after me. He was horrible. It's Robert Beverly.
What about Mike Johnson? You met with Mike Johnson, right?
No, I gave Mike my meeting with somebody means you exchanged, you know, verbiage or whatever. I gave my pardon packet to him. I'm trying to get a pardon also because, like I said, they were still pursuing me, and there's, like you said, you don't get gun rights, you don't get voter rights, and I'd like those rights back because I didn't do anything wrong. I got persecuted. So I gave Mike the packet, and I haven't heard anything yet. So
and how do we get a hold of Mike? What do we got to do, man? We got to have somebody just sneak in there and meet him in the closet for the backroom deals, or what?
Well, I was on the House floor, and that's something that is a former member, you get to do, and that's how I got it. But I didn't get to speak with him. But I really want every Friday to be Forgiveness Friday, where there's not just me or John, there's other people in there that are, and I know Alice Johnson, who Trump pardoned, is supposed to be ahead of that. And I don't know, she's been ahead of it now for over a month. I wish she'd start recommending people to be pardoned, but that hasn't happened. It's unfortunate.
Well, because I think Mike Johnson could do a lot of good there, but it seems like he's slow walking everything that Trump's trying to accomplish.
I haven't, to be honest with you, Sam, I haven't followed it as closely as I normally would, but I'm I'm extremely frustrated, like you are. But then again, he has done a lot. I mean, I've worked under other presidents before, and Trump's done a lot so far that's good. But he, like you said, it's frustrating watching it. Some of these things go so slow. It's very frustrating.
Well, and if we're not very careful, I mean, Mike Johnson literally got in a fight with, I can't remember, Paula Luna, and I guess what happened is they shut down the House for like a week over it, right?
Yeah, and I don't agree with what Paula was doing.
When we come back, let's talk about that, though, because shutting down Congress for a week, we need to take action, and fast. Hang tight.
Introducing PrepStartsNow.com, your ultimate guide to readiness and peace of mind. We offer practical preparedness tools, training, and education to take your family's household readiness to the next level. Browse the prep shop for essential products, check out our planning guides, and stay informed with our prep blog. Visit PrepStartsNow.com and subscribe to our emails for exclusive offers, new products, and future events. Remember, preparedness begins with PrepStartsNow.com.
Former Sheriff Richard Mack recounts in his book The Proper Role of Law Enforcement, how he came to realize while working as a beat cop how wrong the all-too-common orientation of police officers is when they think of their job as being to write tickets and arrest people. Richard Mack tells of his personal transformation from by-the-number cop to Constitution-conscious defender of citizen safety and freedoms. Learn what it really means to serve and protect. Purchase your copy at CSPOA.org. That's CSPOA.org.
As you all know, Roe versus Wade has resulted in some of the most permissive abortion laws anywhere in the world. For example, in the United States, it's one of only 7 countries to allow elective late-term abortions, along with China, North Korea, and others. Right now, in a number of states, the laws allow a baby to be born from his or her mother's womb in the 9th month. It is wrong. It has to change. Americans are more and more pro-life. You see that all the time. In fact, only 12% of Americans support abortion on demand at any time. Under my administration, we will always defend the very first right in the Declaration of Independence, and that is the right to life.
Every Friday, ladies and gentlemen, should be a day of hope and compassion. Like Good Friday, offering the promise of pardon and release for political prisoners, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we need to get done. We really need to focus on Steve Stockman. We need to focus on John Woods. We need to focus on the J6 prisoners. We need to focus on all kinds of people that have been wrong, people that have been abused and wronged by the judge, jury, and executioner called the IRS, a criminal enterprise. We've got a lot to do, folks. And the FBI agent admitted to destroying evidence after he got caught. He lied and said he didn't do it. And then he got caught and admitted to it. He literally lied, destroyed evidence in Wood's case. And then the judge basically used that against Wood and said, hey, because we don't have that evidence, you can't use it. And so we're going to just throw it out. I mean, it's insanity what seems to be happening. Where's Kim Kardashian? Can we get a hold of her? I mean, Kim's running around everywhere freeing all kinds of people. Can't we get her to help us? Come on, Steve.
I agree. It would be wonderful. I'll wait for her call.
I'm just saying, it's just interesting how that all goes down. How come we don't have any angel investors or angel partners or whatever to kind of help us? I mean, how do we get a hold of Elon? Can't Musk help us?
Yeah, I wish you could. People. There's a pardons office in the Department of Justice, and people have to fill out this 100-page. I don't know. It's a lot of paperwork, but most of the people that Trump pardons never fill that paperwork out. It's really because the populace uprises and says you need to do it, and so that's one reason why I'm trying to encourage your people to post stuff, because he really does do social media. In fact, I think he was posting this morning at 5 a.m. So he doesn't sleep, he posts. So if he sees this article, I think there's going to be a change of heart. And hopefully,
and I sure hope he does, and that's what we're going to advocate for. We're going to bring Richard Mack into the mix and use all the tools that we have. We have several sheriffs that are in close proximity to President Trump as well, and we're going to use those opportunities. We've been working with all kinds of different people to affect this, and we've really got to keep at it, folks. We cannot rest until we get this done. I want to move to Letitia James. You know, she was one.
The hypocrite. Unbelievable.
It's just insanity, man. I guess
you know
she
what?
she allegedly listed her father as her
I don't think
husband.
it's alleged. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't care. So it's not allegedly she listed it. It's like what's the Omar is jealous now because she married her brother.
I know. See, this is the weirdest. I don't even know how to respond to this kind of stuff. What do you mean you list your dad as your husband?
Yeah, that takes an incest to a whole new level. I guess you could charge her with incest too, right?
I don't even know how to respond.
It's amazing. I don't know if people are aware of the timeline. This is just weeks before she commits the fraud for which she's charging. This is so typical liberals. They always charge you with what they're doing.
Yeah, it's classic projection, right?
Yeah, she charged Trump with the very thing she was doing right before the court case. That is mind-boggling. She committed bank fraud, which is a federal offense up to 20 years, and every charge is another 20 years, and she's got like 3 or 4 false charges on there. So she's facing 60 years if they charge her. But, they're so sensitive about this stuff, and Trump probably won't encourage it. But I think they should charge it. It's about time. We never charge these people for what the crimes they do, but they always charge us, and they're never going to learn until we start putting them in jail for what they do. They use their office to persecute people, and someone like her, it's unbelievable she was doing that at the same time she's prosecuting Trump. It's like I just don't.
Yeah, it's truth is stranger than fiction is the point, Steve.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So let me ask you
By
this.
the way, her home is
I got an idea.
in Virginia. Huh?
All right, here's my idea. Ready? You know how Trump says we're going to basically, for every new law we put in place, we're going to get rid of, I can't remember, 5 or 10 other regulations.
Yes, quite a few, yeah.
And I support that 100%, right? But I got an idea. Mm-hmm. What if we release political prisoners like John Woods and Steve Stockman and many others? And what if we put 2 real criminals that are above the law in jail for everyone we pardon?
Man, Sam, you're a genius. I love that. Because do you know Bernie Sanders' wife committed bank fraud? She committed blatant bank fraud, bankrupted a school she was in charge of. She was never held accountable. And Bernie's got 3 or 4 houses, socialist with. He used to say millionaires and billionaires, but he doesn't attack millionaires anymore because he's a millionaire. And how do you become a millionaire on a salary of $177,000? I don't know. I mean,
Elon Musk says he's going to dig into that and find out and follow the money, and I pray he does. But, man, we're going to have to release 1 political prisoner, and then we're going to have to put 2 of these criminals in jail. But believe it or not, Bernie Sanders and AOC are on the campaign trail together. They don't know who the Republican or the Democratic Party leader is anymore because of, Kamala meltdowns and everything.
Everybody
it's going to be Bernie and it's going to be AOC.
Yeah,
AOC's drawing huge crowds. She just raised $9.6 million in the first quarter of 2025.
Yep. Yeah, that's dangerous. And I think if she gets in there, it's going to be Katie bar the door. It's kind of funny because I don't know if you know it. She took down her pronouns and stuff. She's changed like a chameleon.
She took down her pronouns.
So, yeah, she used to have he, she, or whatever on there. She took them off. She's changing a lot. She's trying to look like more of a moderate in order to win. So she's on the move to make to win or try to win. And I think we underestimate her at our own peril because she has really some very wealthy far left people supporting her. So I think
don't underestimate the barmaid, ladies and gentlemen. Don't.
No, don't. Sandy. But one last thing I want to tell you about Letitia James. She lists, if I'm not mistaken, you can probably search the internet on this, but she lists her home as being in Virginia to get a home tax credit.
The problem is that's illegal because she has to be from New York, right?
Yeah, to run for office. So everything she did is now wrong.
Well, that's never stopped any of these criminals before, Steve.
Oh, I know. The law is for us, not for them. The only laws are applied to us. And even then, they stretched the thing. I mean, the charge she did against Trump was ridiculous. She said that his place at Mar-a-Lago is worth only $18 million. That thing is not worth $18 million. It's worth $300 or $400 million at a minimum.
For sure.
I mean, it's like he's charging $1 million per membership for the club. I mean, he's taking in more than that than what they claim it's worth. It's just it was so ridiculous. But I think it's hilarious in a way. It reminds me of was it Esther in the Bible where Haman's making a hanging thing to hang the Jews, and he ends up hanging on
then
it.
it gets used for him.
Yeah, and this is what happened. Latifah did this, and now everything she laid out in groundwork, she's now, going to end up hanging by her own petard, which is pretty nice.
Do you think they'll really prosecute her to the full extent? Do you think she'll really?
No, I don't. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't. There's never a pattern there. It's so funny because the left's going, it's retribution, it's retribution. There's never a chance where we ever get someone held accountable on the left. And even though it's blatant, I mean, some of the stuff, Obama and Clinton's took tons of money from the Haitian Foundation, millions of dollars, helped paid for Chelsea's wedding. Biden had a nonprofit, which they make excuses for cancer research, never gave a dime to cancer research. All of that's fraud. But, they don't hold them accountable, and I don't think they ever will. I mean, Trump could have really thrown her in prison, but
and Trump could throw Joe in prison too. I mean, Joe Biden's got. I mean, it just doesn't even end. Now he's back on the campaign trail.
Well, yeah, he actually made a lot of money. People don't know this, but he got a big kickback because he helped China build a railroad in Africa. When he went to Africa, he obligated American taxpayers to build a railroad, and the Chinese were having difficulty getting all the rare minerals out of Africa and copper and all that, and they were having difficulty building the railroad. So Biden stepped in with the U.S. tax dollars and is going to build a railroad at our tax dollars in Africa to help China.
Other than that, it's not.
It's one of the reasons why they wanted to arrest me, by the way, because I kept exposing stuff.
All right,
go ahead.
When we come back next hour, can you stay with me longer?
I can if you want.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. The break's coming up. It's about and we'll jump into the second hour. And I want to talk to you about the first 100 days because we're so close to 100 days now.
Yep.
I mean, it's the 17th, and 100 days would be I can't remember what it would be, the 23rd or 22nd or something.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was January 20th, wasn't it?
It was January 20th, but remember, February is a short month, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So
yeah,
it's not quite exact. I don't know. I'd have to figure it out the exact 100 days. But all I'm telling you is it's like the 22nd or 23rd or whatever.
Right.
Doesn't matter. The point is I want to discuss with you, though, about the first 100 days because I think we've accomplished a ton, and I'm really grateful for it. But I really think that the judges who need to be impeached are part of the problem. Congress is flat out derelict in their duty. Mike Johnson is slow walking everything that matters to us. And they've spent us into oblivion. That hasn't changed. So I really want to know, out of those 100 days, do you think it's been successful? And we can highlight some of those successes. But then I want to talk about, hey, we're running out of time. We don't have very long before they're going to start, the next campaign cycle and everything else. And if we don't have something solid to run on, we's in trouble, Steve. Steve Stockman with me, ladies and gentlemen. Next hour, we're going to break that down just for you. You want to learn more about Steve Stockman, what he's doing? Steve Works For You. That's all you got to do is @Steve Works For You and check it out on social. You're listening to Liberty Roundtable Live, nationally syndicated by the Loving Liberty Radio Network, lovingliberty.net. Download our iPhone app or Android app to listen anytime, anywhere you like, live and on demand, or just at lovingliberty.net. Listen online.